Here's another kind of scary looking integral to begin with, but let's again go to our integration sheet and see if we see something that we can use to help us with this one. All right, and it's very tempting when you're looking at this integral, it's very tempting to think that, oh, it's 18 because it's got that x out in front. Okay, but the problem is the squared variable is before the minus sign in this one. And the squared variable, I'll show you the squared variable in just a second, is after the minus sign here. So this is going to be actually number 16. Like all of these, the big question is, what is being squared? So again, I have a squared variable, but it's not always just an x or a t or a theta. It can be an entire expression that's being squared. So here, if you look, this is ln squared x and a 9. So 3 times the natural log of x. If I square all of that, I get 9 ln squared x. And that's the thing that's being squared here. So this is the substitution that we're going to make to be able to use this identity. We need a squared number minus a squared variable. It's easy to see that a here is 7 because a squared is 49. But what we're going to do is a u substitution here. We're going to let u be 3 log x. So therefore u squared is 9 ln squared x. All right. Now why is that important? Well, it's because du is then 3 times the derivative of log, which is 1 over x dx. And now look, we've got 3 over x dx. All of that is just du. And then underneath the radical, I've got the square root of 49 is a squared, so I got an a squared minus 9 log squared x. All of that is just u squared. So I have something that looks now exactly like, right, they look the same. The only thing that's different is we have a u instead of an x. Again, don't let that make you think that this can't be used. Variables are just letters that we're picking as a placeholder. The property doesn't change because we're using u instead of x. All right, just plugging in, this is going to be equal to the inverse sign of x. Okay, remember u is in place of x in this, over a, right, plus c. All right, now we'll just go in and just replace everything with what it is. This is the inverse sign. All right, we're no longer using u, we're back to x because the original problem had x. U is 3 log x, all over a is 7. All right, and that's fine, or you could, just because of properties of logs, you could say this is the inverse sign of x cubed. I'm sorry, the log of x cubed over 7 plus c. Either of those would be fine. That's a property of logarithms. A ln x is equal to ln x to the a. That's just a property of logarithms called the power rule of logs. But it is perfectly fine to leave it in that original form. So once again, this is an identity when we see a squared variable underneath a radical, either in front of a minus sign, after a minus sign, or possibly there's a plus sign in there. And we see these inverse trigonometric functions from the tables that are used in those. Okay, we'll keep that going. We'll actually see where this comes from in more detail in another couple sections.